Think about the last person you pulled away from before they left. Not in a dramatic way, not with arguments or explanations, just quietly, almost without noticing it yourself. Maybe it was a message you delayed replying to, an invitation you found a reason to decline, a moment of real connection that arrived, and you let it pass. Not because you didn't want it, but because something inside you whispered that wanting it could be dangerous. Maybe you called it intuition, maybe self-protection, maybe a lesson learned from experience. And here's the thing, no one will ever tell you directly, that instinct was right. It came from something real. From people who left, from people who stayed but hurt you, from moments when you revealed something true about yourself and the other person looked away. Your nervous system cataloged it all. Every tiny interaction, every small rejection, every moment you felt exposed, it remembered. And it built a response system so that the next time something similar appeared, it knew what to do even before you could consciously decide. That isn't dysfunction. That's learning. That's the human mind doing exactly what it was designed to do, protecting you from repeating the experiences that hurt you most. The hard part is that this same instinct, the automatic withdrawal, the quiet self-protection, still runs today, even when there is no real danger. Even with people who have given you no reason to expect harm. Your body reacts to memory, not reality. You think you are responding to the person in front of you, but most often you are responding to the past. That is not a wound you carry. It is architecture. And the real question is not, how do I fix it? The question is, who would you be without it? Who is the self on the other side of all that protection? Jung introduced a concept he called the persona, borrowed from the Latin word for the masks worn by actors in ancient theater. The persona is not a lie. It is necessary. It allows you to navigate the world, to hold yourself in a job interview, to modulate what you express depending on the context, to present yourself in ways that allow connection to happen. Without it, every interaction would be a collision between raw, unfiltered inner lives. That is chaos, not intimacy. But the problem is that the persona often doesn't stay where it belongs. Through thousands of tiny social negotiations, most happening in childhood, it fuses with your sense of self. By adulthood, many people forget that mask and face are separate. They confuse the interface for the self. And then there is the shadow. The shadow is not just darkness. It is not simply your negative impulses. It is everything that was too much, too honest, too raw, too alive for the rooms you grew up in. The anger that could have been healthy assertiveness, the ambition that could have driven something meaningful, the grief that needed expression, all buried because it wasn't safe to show. The shadow is your exiled potential, the parts of you that could have been powerful, creative, bold, alive, but were tucked away for survival. Because it was never allowed into the light, the shadow does not disappear. It runs things from underground. It shows up in your relationships as reactions that feel bigger than they should. A comment that stings too deeply, a moment of being overlooked that triggers a reaction that belongs to something much older than the present. Patterns you keep repeating, choices that work against your conscious intentions, loyalty to situations that hurt you. The qualities you see in others that irritate or enrage you often reveal what is buried in you. The arrogance that infuriates you may reflect your own unacknowledged hunger for recognition. The neediness that drains you may mirror how your own needs were dismissed. The dishonesty you despise may reveal where you've deceived yourself. Most healing advice tells you to return to your undamaged self, the one that existed before the wound. But Jung shows something deeper. The socially acceptable, carefully managed version of yourself. The one that has learned to perform, to navigate, to survive, may be the least honest. And the wound itself, painful as it is, may be the most truthful self-portrait you'll ever have. It tells you what you needed, what you valued, and what cost you to lose. True healing, what Jung called individuation, is not self-improvement. It is not accumulating better habits, healthier emotional patterns, or more functional routines. It is becoming fully, deeply, undeniably yourself. This process is not linear. It is uncomfortable. The ego, the persona, the version of yourself built to survive, must take a backseat. You must loosen the story you've told yourself about who you are. That loosening feels like grief, like disorientation, like falling. The fear at the edge is the persona whispering. Without the mask, without the carefully curated self, there will be nothing left. But what emerges from staying with the discomfort is not emptiness. It is solidity. It is the first encounter with something more real than the persona ever was. The person who has done this work is not necessarily happier, more loved, or more successful, but they are settled. They are no longer at war with themselves. They can be in a room without performing. They can be in a relationship without disappearing. They can feel desire without immediately constructing reasons not to. They can be alone without needing the emptiness to be filled. Trauma does not vanish. The architecture remains. But it stops running things from underground. By sitting with what your nervous system recorded, what it protected, what it cost, you bring it into the light. And in the light, it behaves differently. In daily life, this looks like noticing old patterns without being consumed by them. Wanting something without immediately building a case for why you cannot have it. Being present without disappearing. Sitting with yourself without needing distraction. Being in a relationship without losing yourself. Jung repeatedly asked, "What is the most honest thing about you? Are you willing to meet it?" The self on the other side of this work is not the undamaged self you imagined recovering. It is stranger, stronger, more whole. It is the self who has looked clearly at their own wound, traced their own avoidance, and stayed with what was uncomfortable long enough to move through it. That is where real change begins, not through frameworks, explanations, or curated stories, but through honesty. Simply seeing, this is what happened, this is what it made of me, and this is the person I have to work with. It is not easy. It is not glamorous. There are no lectures, workshops, or social media posts that can do it for you. You have to sit with yourself, with your history, with the parts you've hidden, avoided, or denied. You have to watch yourself, quietly, without judgment, without needing a lesson to emerge. And only then, when the shadow is met without distraction, without explanation, without performance, does the persona stop controlling the narrative. Then the wound stops hiding in the dark. Then the self becomes something solid, something whole, something real.